Click your button. Go live. Welcome to the Full Menu Podcast. I'm your host, Donovan Gaspard, with my co-host here, Otis James. How you doing, my friend?
Good, man. Good, man. How you doing?
And I am on the struggle bus today.
You look
just got me off.
Yeah, you look like a struggling single mom on laundry day. with no appliances in the house.
None. My microwave don't even work right now, man. Man, this is a topic, man. We're gonna be talking a little. We're talking real stuff right now. So this is going to be something I know near and dear to you because you talk about it a lot. I'm relatively. I won't say I'm relatively new. I've been been entrepreneur for a while, but just really like getting everything off the ground. Probably the past 4 or 5 years, and I've learned a lot. Come a long way. Learned a lot from you. Learned a lot by making mistakes and figuring it out. Learned a lot by paying a lot. So yeah. So I think we're going to talk about a little bit of all those things. So today's topic is we're talking about the entrepreneurship grind, right? The hustle. Is it hustle helping us or hurting us? So
it's hurting us.
It's hurting, bro.
It's hurting a lot of us. It doesn't have to be, but it's hurting a lot of us.
It's great. I love the reward. I love when it's great. I love it when it's great. I don't like it when it's not. But that's anything.
Culturally, man, there's too many of us not doing it right. That's just haven't had the guidance. Just because you can make money doing a thing, creating a business around doing that thing, a business that can sustain itself is not the same.
It's not.
And people understand from social media that being an entrepreneur is difficult. Even when you know how difficult it is, when you really get in it and you do it for real, it is so much more difficult than you would imagine. Usually because most people don't have the proper guidance when they go in. Even those of us that are intelligent and business savvy, there's just systems that have to be in place in order for you to be able to manage a business. And there's nobody sharing all that. And I had to figure out a lot of this stuff, like the hard way. That means putting a lot of money into something, scrapping it, putting a lot of money into that same thing again, doing it a different way, scrapping it, hiring somebody to do it,
starting all over.
And until you've had that conversation where you lean over to your significant other and you're like, we ain't gonna be able to, I can't make the mortgage this month. Until you have one of those, you ain't an entrepreneur.
I listen, man. I've said this many times. Like, I have not gotten to the point to where I truly want to give up my 9 to 5, and I love my 9 to 5. I love what I do, during the day. But my passion is definitely from 6 to 6, pretty much, bro. Weekends, holidays. Like, I literally just got back from vacation. That was my first vacation, like, in a long ass time. So even when I take my PTO from my other job, I'm usually working to build, my other businesses.
So that poses the question: how do you know when it's time to leave your job? Because I don't think people should leave their 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, at this point, bro, I don't think I will. To be honest with you, I don't think it's one. I think there are benefits of your 9 to 5, right? Because you have a set schedule. You have an idea of like when you go to work, when you get off. And you have a consistent paycheck, right? The bills got to get paid, the lights got to be on, kids got to go to school. Plus, you also have additional taxes that you can take out. There is that benefit at the end of the year. For me, I get a nice chunk of change back from the government because I have both my feet in different worlds. The 9 to 5 and on my as my 1099 stuff. So I'm able to kind of benefit both worlds and take advantage of it. So.
You talk about your tax refund?
What's that?
Talk about your tax refund?
Yeah.
The government giving you back money they shouldn't have took from you in the first place?
Yeah, I'm getting my money back because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm sorry. Listen, I don't know what people's idea of how much you say you want to make, but I'm going to tell you right now, whatever number you write down is, man, my goal is this. If it's, 100,000, if it's 200,000, if it's 400,000, $1 million, you probably got to put another zero next to that, because I'm telling you, it's not going to be enough. It is not. I remember when everybody was saying, man, I'm gonna get 100,000, man. You know how much, man, that's good money right there, bro. And you're just looking like, yeah, that's good. But the thing is, they take about 45% of that.
Well, it's not the money you make. It's also how you make it.
Yeah.
So you can make 100,000 and they just tax the hell out of it.
That's what I'm saying. It ends up being like 60.
But if as soon as you cross over into entrepreneurship, that's one of the things that you need to tackle that they don't tell a lot of people.
Yeah.
You need to be structured so where your tax liability, you're not so exposed. And that's not cheap to do.
Nope.
That's what they don't tell you. Everybody's on, TikTok and Instagram saying, go get an LLC. You can go to LegalZoom and all this and that. No, bro. It don't work.
If you got a LLC and your email is still Gmail or something crazy, right? I don't know. I don't even know some of the names I've seen on emails, but yeah, if you still got a Gmail under your business name, you're probably not doing it right, to be honest with you.
Well, that just shows that that's a lack of professionalism, and just shows that you're not really taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead and splurge the $11 for the domain.
Right.
That's part of the starter kit.
Yeah.
So when I'm teaching somebody, and this is just in real estate, to have a real estate investing business, that's on the 60-day action plan. That's like under that little admin stuff, right?
Yep.
But we'll dive into it, man. I'll get into more detail about the 8 different sections of business that you should be focusing on when you're starting something like that. But people just aren't educated on that. And, you can go get the education in all of these different areas, but now you're dealing with different consultants. You're dealing with marketing consultants. You're dealing with sales and strategy consultants. You're dealing with market research companies. You're dealing with, attorneys, CPAs, tax attorneys. All those relationships are expensive, and I think people don't understand the cost of entrepreneur, just the business side of things, right?
Yep. That is, and it's funny you say the cost, right? Literally, that's the. So if you haven't watched the Full Menu podcast, basically how we structure everything is, it's like a menu, right? You're sitting down where this is our dinner table. You're here with us, listening and talking to us. We have a 4-course meal, basically. You're going to have your appetizer, your main course, your dessert, and then we're going to give you a to-go box, right? Just basically some tips and things that you should probably take into consideration. So Otis is definitely going to share. He's been doing entrepreneurship for pretty much his whole life. I mean, he'll tell you his story, between him and his father and how he's learned about real estate and things like that. But these are some things that if those people who are really passionate about, going in entrepreneurship and doing some of the things, we're not deterring you from going off and doing it, because it is a phenomenal thing to do and it is a phenomenal thing to have. But we just want to let you know that don't think that it's easy. Right. I literally had a conversation with somebody today in the market, in the grocery store. And it was like, man, you don't understand. Like, yeah, I make good money, but I got a lot of bills. as soon as I get a check, it should go into different places. Y'all don't it's not just a house. It's not just a car. It's like, it's going other places. Because I'm creating a structure. I have a structure. I have, all those, the foundation that I'm building, I have a transaction coordinator. I have people helping me build my business, and that it costs, because you can't be the expert at everything. I think that's another thing, is you have to understand, you got to know your lane. You got to know what you're good at. So you got to hire the right people to make you look good. So if that's hiring somebody to do your website, hiring somebody to do, your mailers, hiring somebody to do whatever, those types of things, those are small things, but those things add up, and they cost. They're not cheap. But yeah, so this is the first part. We're going to talk about the appetizer. I'm going to give you 5 little basic things, tidbits on, what some of the struggles are. But again, everybody wants to be a boss. Nobody talks about how hard it really is to build a dream from scratch.
I'm gonna make it easier though. I'm gonna make it easier for folks.
Yeah, exactly. We're here to make it easier for you. The highs, the lows, and the silent burnout, because there are times that you're going to want to quit. There are times, you literally throw everything up in the air and be like, man, this. I'm going back to UPS. I'm going back to I'm going back. No one's telling you to quit, by the way. These are things that you should, if you want to, again, take notes, just hear some of the struggles, hear some of the things, but also learn from us. Yeah. And that's pretty much it, man. That's the first part. So the allure of entrepreneurship.
It's got to be in you, man.
Why are so many people chasing business ownership, and what is it? What are they really after? I think that's one part that you need to really figure out is what are you passionate about?
It's not even about, it's just for me, the biggest value is to be in an environment that I control 100%. When you're in the corporate environment, you don't control that environment, and you are there as a piece to a much larger machine. And you just got to be the best piece that you can be. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's certain things, especially when if you're somebody that travels. I was, traveling to these different countries, and after seeing how the other cultures operate and after seeing how stress-free it is just being out of the United States, I'm like, I got to be able to do this all the time. Like, I can't do this 2 weeks a year. Like, I can't even. Yeah.
Got back from Europe, bro. I just got back from Italy, bro. It was different to see how people were like we work to live.
It's not supposed to be that way.
We have to we work to live. Like, it's not like if we don't go to work, we don't have food. We don't have all these things. And it's crazy because I'm not saying like other countries are, or don't have their struggles, but for the amount of work that we do on a day-to-day basis and the amount of money that we make, there's no reason why that everything should be as expensive as it is. The cost of living should be as expensive as it is. Literally, like, you go to Europe, you go to different places, and you're not paying as much for your rent as you are in other places. And mind you, they are smaller. Don't get me wrong. I hit my head a couple times over those damn places. I am literally considered a giant over there. But that's not what it's about, because you're never really home. You're only home to sleep and eat, pretty much. But because you're out and about talking to people, and it's just a different ideology. I don't know. But
it's also, there's just more to life than this, man. And keep in mind, a lot of people don't understand the difference between true entrepreneurship and self-employed. Being a business owner, many times you start off as self-employed and you evolve into a business owner. But when you look at the tax code, it's made for investors and business owners. It's not made for active people that are all their income is active. It's not made for self-employed. It's not made for W-2 employees. And once you know that, now the rules are public.
Yeah.
Now that you know the rules, now you can define what role you want to play within that system. And I didn't want to, that just wasn't good enough for me, man. Like, I need to do stuff that requires more money than a typical job is going to pay me. And I need to do certain things often.
Right.
And and then you need to, you get to bet on yourself 100%. Now, when I was in corporate, I like corporate. My evals were always high. I've been awarded in a bunch of different positions. The pay was decent, right? I mean, it was, into the six figures, but there was just too many things that needed to be taken care of. I live in the Bay Area, and you guys always hear me give you the whole spiel about California. California is expensive. Northern California is the expensive part of California. The Bay Area is the expensive part of Northern California. The peninsula is the expensive part of the Bay Area. I'm smack dab in the middle of it. So you'll pay $1.5 million for a house that you can get for $150,000 somewhere else. So to be able to navigate that, you're always trying to think, well, I know I am, of ways to, increase revenue. I've been doing it that way for a very long time. So I've had different revenue streams. And the thing that hurt me the most was the money came too fast with too little effort. Like, I'm talking about 20-30% effort. I made my first $1 million. Almost no effort, to the point where I was so confident in my ability to make it. I just ended up not wanting to do that anymore and just wanted to do something else.
Right.
I was playing. I was just like, I don't really like doing that. I'll do something else.
It's too easy. Yeah.
It's not even. It's not even that it was too easy. It was the times that I did have to get involved. I didn't like being involved. I didn't like being in that environment or involved with those, some of the folks that were, doing that. And so I'm like, nah, it's just not worth it. So it's like, all right, well, what do we do next?
Mhm.
But doing where I am now, I mean, we're on our 5th year for Data Points Academy, and this has been the hardest. This has been the hardest thing for me, hands down, because the other stuff I always had 6 figures of income to fall back on, and even getting that 6 figures, I had the freedom to work from home most of the time. So
Mhm.
sometimes I'd be working when everybody was home, got off work at 5 or 6. I'd be doing my corporate stuff at like sometimes 9, 10 o'clock at night. But during that day, I may have done some other stuff, for like a couple hours, right?
Right.
So I had the
Yeah.
freedom to fit all of that stuff in for 168 hours in a week. But people don't have that, they don't spend money in the right places. They don't spend money on the knowledge, and it costs them so much more in the long
Absolutely.
run. So the part of the venture you thing you keep seeing around is because I'm like, what if I had all of the people that I needed for my business in one place, like in the same room for
Mhm.
days. So I could put a plan together in this, and I can go to this person and put this plan together. Then I can go to this person who is managing operations and systems, and I can get a blueprint for that. And then I can go to this person who's speaking on sales and marketing. Then I can get a blueprint for that, for all of the 8 things that are required, all of the different components of a business that you need to give attention. That's where that came from. Because and I'm not talking about I spent a few grand here that I could have saved, or a few. I'm talking about tens of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
right?
I
And if
know.
somebody was just, if I had some, and I'm good, I'm business savvy, but when you go into other spaces and technology's changing, a lot of this technology that we're leveraging wasn't here 5 years ago.
Mhm.
AI 5 years ago. I mean, there was, but not for the general public, right? So
Right.
now all the automations that take a lot of the stuff off my plate so I could do what I'm supposed to be doing, be in the
Right.
face and executing the vision, that stuff wasn't available. But
Yeah.
those things are really, really important. And there's a huge learning curve. And a lot
Yeah.
of people just don't understand that in business. Right?
Yeah. These are the 5 top reasons people choose entrepreneurship. That they think they choose entrepreneurship. Number 1 is freedom from a 9 to 5 limitations. Number 2, desire to build legacy and generational wealth.
Everybody say that. Like, who doesn't
That's
have the
that's
desire? Like,
that's Number 3, control over their time and future. Number 4, proving they're capable and vision driven. And number 5, avoiding corporate ceilings and micromanagement.
I guarantee that they interviewed a bunch of people who are not actual
Yeah, not
entrepreneurs.
entrepreneurs.
Like,
I'm gonna tell you right now, 9 to 5 is not a entrepreneur. It's literally like 24/7. They are
yeah,
always working,
yep.
always working.
And you want to, because if you have to generate a certain amount of income per month, it's not coming if you're not working.
Yep.
So when you're off, it makes you reevaluate some of the how you're spending your time. So going out and drinking with the fellas and all that, that's not generating any income.
No.
And even in the time that you're wasting, you could be doing, some marketing stuff. And this is why you're building your brand
Doing
up.
some research. I do a lot of research too, man.
Yeah.
But just trying to find some information out, just getting some knowledge.
Yeah. And there's different stages. So there's when I think the first 5 years is when you're building your brand. That's if you make it through the first 5 years, and then ultimately you want to get in a position where if you need it, you can get funding. But most people try to get funding first.
Yeah.
Like if you haven't, what's that?
You're like, for what? You haven't done anything.
Yeah. If you haven't generated $1 million, see, I could go to an actual investor and say, hey, look, I need X amount of dollars. I've already generated 7 figures, and I have my systems down to where I can have the conversation to let that investor know how profitable it's going to be. I'm not going to do that because I don't want any other investors in my business, literally. Right. But I know my numbers and the things that I have to be on top of to determine how smooth my path forward is going to be. Right.
Right.
So, you know, I think everybody just wants to be the boss, and they don't realize that you you could be a boss of nothing. You could be a boss of nothing. And
That's
and I think this social media environment that has people tricked. I think
so
they're
this
fooled.
this is the way I look at it, right? They always talk about like, and that's why I love sports, right? Um, to everybody wants to lead, right? Everybody wants to be, like you said, they want to be the boss. But are you truly to understand being a boss, you got to be able to follow. You got to be able to take directions. You got to be able to fall in line. You got to be able to know your position. And are you willing to bite your tongue to actually be taught something, to listen to something? Because even if you're an expert in your industry, there's always somebody above you. There's always somebody who's doing it bigger and who's doing it better. And you want to learn from that person. And it's like, even if it's, and the thing is like a lot of information that we're getting is not different, but it's how someone delivers it and how it resonates with other people. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, like I said, when I heard you, when I met you, when you talk about the 4 data points, like I've heard that before, but not how you used it and in the order you used it, right? And how you were able to like literally have the conversation around those 4 data points. And it just resonated with me. I was like, man, I gotta get on the phone with this dude. I gotta talk to him. You know, I got to figure it out. And it's like, ever since then, man, like I've been literally, you know, been around you and you know, Anthony and hell, everybody. So, you know, from shit, I can't even think of all the damn names that we've hung out with. But yeah, man, it's just like, I've learned so much from, and like just by listening to your stories. Right. And I think that's where people, because everybody wants to do, I do it myself. I got this. I'm gonna do it by myself. I don't need no help. I'm gonna do this. Like, well, then your ship is about to sink. Because if you have that mentality, if you're gonna do it by yourself, you no longer have becoming, and you're not an entrepreneur. You're an employer. You're an employee of yourself because you are now working your job.
And I get what people are trying to do, trying to say. I've been recruited. A lot of these, I've been recruited multiple times in some way to be a part of something that these guys that you see all over Instagram put $30,000 a month into marketing. And because I'm already leading people, I need to take them to the promised land and show them how to get there without the need for anybody else. But I think people misinterpret that and say, no, I'm not going to seek guidance in any other areas. I just want to go myself. I'm just not going to be a part of anybody else's plan. But I'm smart enough to know that any place I'm coming up short, I can go get a consult with an expert in that particular thing to go ahead and guide me through it, or hire somebody who that's all they do and hire their company to do that one particular thing. But you're gonna have to spend some money to get some knowledge.
Yep.
You're gonna have to, or you will go broke.
You're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay for it one way or the other. You're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
You're gonna waste your time and waste your money, or you can pay for it and have somebody teach you how to do it.
Here's the number one question someone should ask when they're getting into a new space as an entrepreneur. Why should people buy your product or service as opposed to your competitors? Most people, that sounds like a very simple question. Most people can't answer that. Most people are doing something that a bunch of other people are doing, and they can't answer it because they don't do the market research and validate what it is that they're trying to do. They don't identify their target. They don't know, they can't articulate who they're serving. They have no idea what their competition is doing and where they stack up with their competition. I can tell you, period. That was one of the first. That's why I got into this business, because of what my so-called competition was doing. And a lot of people don't do that. People don't understand the importance of a sales strategy. They don't understand the importance of a marketing strategy. They don't have a system in place to deliver their service. They'll just say, oh, well, I want to coach people. Okay. How many people can you coach at one time? Okay. What's the duration of that? How are you onboarding those people? How are you delivering your coaching? What type of automations are you going to include so you don't have to physically be there in front of everybody all the time? And people, and for me, I had to jump those hurdles in the beginning. We grew faster than I anticipated.
Really?
So my name was out there. It spread really, really fast. And I think a lot of that had to do with the pandemic and everybody was at home. So
Mhm.
everybody was like in front of their computers, like, hey, I want to learn about real estate today. Right. And so the pressure on me was 10 times more than the pressure on somebody just trying to get into whatever business they're trying to get into and not being well known, because there's people targeting me.
Yeah.
There's somebody out there saying, see, I told you guys he wasn't who you said he was. You guys giving him all this praise and all that. He's taking food off our plates.
Yeah, and I think that's a mentality too that a lot of people have to get over, is that, you don't want to give up your money to someone else to be trained, right, or to be taught or to learn something, right? You want to try again. You want to do it yourself. And that's fine, but you're going to pay one way or the other. You're going to pay the monetary aspect to pay somebody to show you how to do it, or you're going to pay with your time, or you're going to lose that money. And then you're going to turn around and hire somebody else to fix the problem that you just created yourself. You created for yourself.
You will pay for the proper guidance, or you will pay as a result of not having it. But either way, you will pay.
Either way, you're going to pay.
I paid. I paid dearly.
That just reminds me of the mechanic. You either gonna pay. You either get it done today, or you gonna pay a little bit, or you get it done tomorrow. You're gonna get paid a lot. But either way, you gonna pay. Just let you know.
So people just don't know, man. And there's people that are selling the information, but that's their job to sell the information.
Right.
And I think that people just. I'm just gonna be straight with you, man. Look, black folks. I'm talking to black folks. Well, y'all please pay some money to get straight, to get right.
Please.
I've done business with Michael Perry in the building. What's up, Michael? I've done business with people that presented themselves in a way that was way bigger than they actually were. And I've sent, oh, you do that? Oh, you know what? I need somebody to do that. Okay, cool. Here's 5 figures. Go do that for me. And then I get the end result, and it's trash. And then I got to say, well, is it my fault for not vetting that person, but they presented themselves as an expert that was doing that? Or is it their fault for knowing they didn't know what they were doing and misrepresenting themselves? But that was a very important lesson for me. The people you do business with, man, look, there's a reason why there's a lot of distrust in our community, because every time you turn on the news, whether it's online news or whatever, you got somebody that looked like us that didn't scam 10,000 people out of X, Y, and Z. I'm not gonna say his name, the real estate one. I'm not gonna say his name, but
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I plead the fifth.
But people don't know what questions to ask. So if
100%.
if I'm bringing somebody into what it is that I'm doing, I know that they don't know what questions to ask, especially the hard questions. So on our calls, I'll ask them. I'll ask the hard questions. I tell people, how do you know when you write me this check, I'm not just going to take off and disappear with it? That sounds rude if you're the one asking the question, because it shows.
Especially if they're writing that check and you be like, yeah, how do I know that you won't just take my money and just disappear?
Yeah, I ask the question because that's something that they need to know, and that's going to be their first learning lesson. And it gives me a chance to validate who I am and what I do, and help them fact check that I am who I say I am. So I see a lot of these things in the community, and the folks, there are some good folks in the community. I'm not saying, obviously this isn't a generalization, but I'm saying there's enough of us to warrant the conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We need to up the standard with respect to how we present ourselves, professionalism, right? Customer service. That is a huge one. I can't even. Yeah. If you screw up, make it right.
Yep. Fix it.
Yeah. If you screw up, make it right and own it. I've called some people and say, I blew that one. Let me go ahead and take care of you on that.
Right.
I don't get defensive and all this other stuff. right?
I don't blame. Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, like when you blame and you, like you said, you don't take accountability for it, you're only messing up your name. Because I feel like if you make a mistake and you own it and you move forward and you rectify it, it makes the other person feel that much better. And like they're more willing to actually say, hey, yeah, hey, everybody makes a mistake or whatever. And but I appreciate you taking the time to fix this the best you could.
Yeah, and I don't remember anything that was what question do we ask, Otis? That's a good question. All right, Fernando, I'm gonna get to you in a second. So when people, when I'm having a call, there's the first lesson is I want people to make responsible decisions. So when somebody wants to be a part of what it is that we're doing, the first thing that we look at is this is going to sound bad, but are they pulling the money from somewhere that we feel is more important than getting in our program right now?
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand why we do that, because it's, you don't want somebody coming in and making a poor financial decision and then having to try to dig their way out and then trying to expedite the process of real estate investing because they have all that added pressure.
Right.
So there's been people that we've turned away and said, hey, look,
come back.
We just feel that I don't think you fully grasp the severity of your financial situation right now. We're not going anywhere. I would recommend that you resolve that first so that when you come in, you're not pressured by trying to figure out how you're going to pay your rent now. Because we teach people how to buy real estate with no money out of your own pocket. But that's not that you can't put a business model around that. And that doesn't mean that everything about that is free. Just because you can get the real estate for free doesn't mean you don't have to put $2,500 into your marketing. Oh, you don't know how to market? Okay, well, we got to teach you all of those things. So we try to ask the tough questions for people. And some people just want to be polite. Another question, Fernando, because he was asking, another question I say is, what if you get into our program and it doesn't work? I ask them that. And they say, well, shouldn't I be asking you that? And then I explain that process. But sometimes that person may have been too polite to ask that question because they didn't want to offend me, right? And I can't get offended when I'm talking about what it is we do because it's the only time we get to brag on what we do anyway, right? So I have a whole list of tough questions that I ask people because I'm going to be committed to them. It's not a running people through. That's one of the things that I feel is important in business. You support them until your service works for them, period. Whether it's a year, 5 years, 10 years. So I said, all right, I'll put my money where my mouth is. We don't have an end date. Our relationship ends when you say it ends. And a lot of people, appreciate that. And I think that's why we've grown so quick, right? We operate in honesty and integrity and some other things. But it's not just real estate, it's all business. There's certain things that are common denominators into things people need to address. And most people, there's 8 of them. Most people can only name maybe 4. Right? But when I ask people that, well, what are the 8 areas that you need that warrant your attention, where you need to put money on? And they can't do it. And I said, well, why did you quit your job and jump into entrepreneurship?
You told me to.
Look, we have a transition plan for people. I tell people the opposite. Don't quit your job to jump into real estate investing. Why would you do that? Quit your job because when I left corporate, my corporate income was only 12% of my total income, and it was taking up 50% of my time. That's just
that's a simple equation.
Yeah, at some point it's costing me money to be there, but I enjoyed it, so I probably stayed longer than I should have. But again, out of honesty and integrity, I knew that business, that corporation, was giving me a check to perform at the best of my ability. And when I got burned out, I sent them an email. I said, hey, I just want to be transparent with you. I always said when I reached the point where I can no longer give 100%, that I'll let you guys know. I'll stay it as long as you need me to transfer or transition the next person in. But I gotta go. All right. And they appreciated that. So I don't know, man. I think there's entrepreneurship is only hard when you're going at it with zero guidance and trying to figure it out. That's why it's hard. It can be a lot easier.
Well, and I know that we've talked about this before. I was like, I personally feel that you need to have a passion about what it is that you want to do, or at least like it, right? I know some people get into like what they're good at, or if they were they went to school to do something, and then like this is what I know. Okay, cool. Like, do you want to be your hobby, or do you want to make money, a bunch of money off of it? Do you want to scale it to a business, or do you just want to make it a hobby, right? I think that personally it should be something that you're passionate about, because you're going to want to work your job when you don't want to work your job, and that's what, because if it's just that, then you really don't have any skin in the game, for me, because at that point, because now you're doing it out of desperation, because like you said, you're chasing a check, or you're chasing, and now you're selling desperate. Now you sound like, hey, if you sure you should buy my course. You know what? You should actually upgrade and get to the $199 plan. I'll give you a discount. I'll give it to you for $150. Now you sound now you sound like a used car salesman.
Yeah.
And I told myself that too. I said, one thing that I would never do is I would never sell out of desperation, because that's not who I am. I want to make sure that everything that I do has the utmost integrity, and it's truly giving the best for the person in front of me. It's tailored for the person in front of me. It's not tailored for me and what my outcomes are. It's for what they need and what's best for them.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people want to do stuff that they're not qualified to do too.
Yeah.
Like, I could go on. It's like I got banners coming across my phone right now. People, and there's nothing wrong with courses. I had a course. I have a course that I'm destroying right now. I have a course that no one ever hears me mention, and it's only a couple $100, but it cost me, almost $20,000 for the framework, and so it can be delivered in a particular way. And I had another company work. It's the same company Tony Robbins and them guys use, and they got a lot more money than I do. And I ended up shutting it down. I was like, I'll chalk up it was just under 20 grand altogether. I'll just chalk it up as a loss. I don't think anybody can take that and be successful as a real estate investor. It's great to take it if you just want to increase your knowledge, but there is no practical application component or hold handing after the fact. So I said, and it's automated. I don't have to do any work to do it. Like, I don't even know who takes it or any, like, that's all. So it doesn't require, I still took it down because
is that the loan doc signing?
What's that?
Is the loan doc signing? The notary revert?
That was for like 20 years. Wait, you talk about when I was a signing agent?
Yeah.
That was like 23 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry, you ancient. I don't know you.
This was a real estate investing course. So, so it was running parallel to the thought process for me doing it is like, look, even as lower as my prices are relative to everybody else, everybody can't afford that. So what can I do for people that they can afford and be light years ahead of where they would have been?
Right.
That was the purpose behind it.
Kind of like the entry course, kind of like your 101 course, kind of sort of, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that was the purpose of it. So it was good intentions, but something in my spirit was just like, I don't want to. I called them. I was like, yeah, shut it down. They was trying to get me to. They was trying to get me to keep it. Well, you can keep it
on one more game.
Yeah, but it was better than any other course you could take. Right, I made sure of that.
Did you go ahead and bundle and put into your other program?
Well, the people that are in my mentorship program, there's a course within it that they can take in their spare time, but I'm teaching every class, but there's still an automated that they get for free when they do it. And that has instructional videos and all the lessons and all that stuff, but they can't just take that. They have to be, I have to teach you just like you and I are talking right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they want to brush up on some things, or maybe they want to go back and, they can take the classes over and over as much as they want, but maybe they're working on something and they're like, how did he say structure a seller financing deal? Oh, okay. He's got a 7-minute video on how to do that. And they don't have to go look at the old Zoom classes and watch for 45 minutes to get to the information that they want. But I'm hyper exposed to everybody in the real estate space because I'm always looking to find somebody that does it better so I can adopt what it is they do and evolve. Right. Yeah. This person markets better. I like what they do. I'm going to use who they use. Or I like the way their document management system is. I'm going to use what they use and just make it better. Right. But a lot of people don't have the experience. They're not qualified. I know people that started flipping homes and now they're coaches. Flipping homes is an entry. What's week one? That's the starting point. What do you do after that? Right? That flipping homes is nobody wants to flip homes for the rest of their life. That's active income. You don't want to, but flipping homes is a smaller component of a much larger plan to
Mhm.
scale people up to apartment buildings and making money off buying and selling debt and all of these other things you can do in real estate investing. Flipping homes is just this is step one, but
Right.
they don't have the experience. They don't have
Yeah.
their people are out there teaching things that they've never done. I can't teach you how to buy a 250 unit apartment building if I didn't spend any time on the operations side of multifamily commercial. I can't teach you how to buy and sell debt if I haven't done it. I can't teach you about how financing works if I didn't own a mortgage brokerage with my father for 13 years. I can't teach you the real estate listing and buying side and how that ties into investing if I wasn't licensed in 2 states and I didn't do it for 15, 20 years. So all of these different things make it so that I'm qualified to do this. A lot of people aren't. And that's
Right.
why you get a lot of negative feedback with a lot of people. They're not qualified to do it to the level that they present themselves. I'm not saying they're not qualified to do anything, but at the level they present themselves.
Well,
And then the people don't ask the right questions when they're buying the services.
and it always depends on when you started your business. You and I know very much so that real estate is literally it's a cyclical thing. Like it can be great, and you're selling. I made all this money when I'm like, yeah, you made it when everything looked like,
When
bro,
interest rates was at 2.5%,
low, like the prices were low. Literally, you can qualify anybody at that time, right? And like you're bragging about it, but now it's down and you don't know what to do or you haven't done anything to prepare for it, right?
now
And
your
then
stomach is touching your back.
bagging groceries, again. So I don't, I don't know. Like I want to hear some, like, what happened in your toughest time? When was your toughest time? Those are the type of questions that I ask. And how do you handle shit like that?
You know
You know,
what? My toughest time was the times that I was carrying investments that I should have let go of because other people were involved in them. So I just made a choice to take the loss long term so they didn't have to.
mm,
And that cost me it's still costing me money to this day.
mm,
Right? And the pressure of doing something when other people that may not be as savvy are involved, that made me lose sleep for a long time. The other you know, the mechanics of real estate investing is the easy part. Teaching it and coming up with a system that's easily received and teaching it at a level and offering the service at a level that exceeds the level that people that are way better capitalized than you, that is the difficult part also, because I have to put a lot more focus into, a lot of these different details, whereas they can just go hire people and do, you know what I'm saying?
right,
And but they also charge you $25,000 and $35,000 a year. That's annually. Like
right.
the average person can't afford that.
That's true.
So that's tough. Another tough part is dealing with the mentality, a poor person's mentality. So there's certain, I got it. One of the reasons I got into this was to create an opportunity for people that wouldn't necessarily have them. When you go into those environments, poor people will get mad at you for trying to teach them. And I'm not talking about poor just with resources. I'm talking about poor up here. They
Hmm.
will get mad at you and they will get offended. And
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Right. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. And a lot of this stuff I was doing for free. You've seen me how much I do for free. I've been teaching online for 4 years for free. I've been doing free workshops and all types of stuff. People told me in the beginning, they were like, look, you allocating too much time and resources to people that can't do
I mean,
anything for you. And I was like, that's a cold thing to say. And I thought that something was wrong with that person. That person was mean. That person was too disconnected and didn't understand. What they were saying was those folks will wear you out. And they right. So I still help certain groups, certain people in certain situations, but just not on as a grand scale like I did before. Those are the toughest things about it. For me anyway.
yeah.
I'm petty
No,
too.
man, that's real, man. That's being real. Like, again, this is all by experience and exposure. You've been there. You've kind of, you've walked that trail, and you've learned from the steps in front of you, and also the ones that you've created, the path that you created. So you've learned from your mistakes. You've capitalized off of those things. So I commend you for that. And I think that's the thing, is like people aren't willing to do, is to really understand that you're gonna fuck up. whether you like it or not. At sometimes, but it's going to be. You just got to make sure that your mess ups aren't significant to where you can't recover. Right? You're not betting everything on. You're not betting the house. You're not betting. So sometimes you have to. Sometimes you want to be aggressive. Sometimes you want to be conservative. You have to, but you have to know the numbers, and you have to be able to know what's in front of you and how to be able to judge these things. Right? And I always look at it like this: was like that's why you can't do it by yourself. That's why, like, hey, man, if I'm going through a deal, like I've called you a couple times on deals where I'm like, hey, bro, this is a little weird. Tell me, what do you think about this? Oh, man, leave that alone. And I'll be like, all right, cool.
Well, that's also, I've been looking at these things I'm 49. I've been going to real estate meetings since I was 3 years old.
Mhm.
There's certain things that are going to pop out at me that you would figure out, but
eventually.
it may just take you less time. Right?
I don't want to be too late.
Yeah. But what it is people make decisions with no data to support the decisions that they make.
Exactly.
So, if you've got, if you want to, I don't know, let's say you've got a certain amount of money and you got to deploy that capital on your business. There's what data? How do you know where to deploy it?
Right.
Oh, well, let me just buy ads. Okay. What?
And then what? Who's going to call them?
Well, yeah. What are you going to? What if everybody you advertise to reach out to you at once?
What do you do?
What do you do? What systems do you have in place? What automations do you have in place to weed out the people that are just wasting your time? Right. Everybody wants to be a real estate investor until it's time to put in the work. Right. And people just don't make data-driven decisions. That's the first thing, right? Like, no, people don't do a business plan. You know how long my business plan. Look, I gave my business plan to somebody, and they kind of went through it a little bit, and they were like, "You probably want to cut this down just a little bit." And I was like, "Well, like how many pages?" They were like, 60.
60. How many did you have? 120?
It was like almost 100 pages.
That's crazy.
And what I was doing is I was analyzing every single detail, and the finished product was the business plan, but the reward was the leader that I became in the process of creating the business plan, because it forced me to look at a lot of other things, right? Like I can't just go I'm too far in to just go to somebody and be like, hey, can you help bail me out?
Yeah.
This is like I got too many eyes on me to do that.
I got too much. I got the same thing, bro. I feel you on that one. I want to move on to like I said, we're literally in the main topic here, main course. So these are the top 5 challenges that entrepreneurs face. And again, I think that's what we kind of want. The whole premise is basically not to give the misconception of entrepreneurship being this glorified, wonderful thing. And we're not saying it's not. But it takes a while for it to get there. If you have success overnight, if you're not, most of the people that you see who are successful entrepreneurs, they've been doing it for a while. They've been at least even if it's been part-time, it's been doing it's not just a success overnight. This has been stuff that they've gone through. So I guarantee you talk to any entrepreneur, they're going to tell you pretty much these 5 things. And these are top 5 challenges entrepreneurs face that people don't see. 1, there is a difference between these 2 things. There's a difference between isolation and loneliness. And the thing that we're talking about here is isolation. You work alone, you make decisions without a team. 2 is burnout, right? No off switch, always chasing the next client or deal. 3, and I want to come back to this one later, imposter syndrome. Feeling like you're faking it until you make it and it breaks you down. 4, financial pressures. No steady paycheck, feast or famine. And 5, balancing your vision with reality. Being a CEO, janitor, and everything else in between. I want to come back to the imposter syndrome. But first, let's talk about the isolation. All right. It is lonely. It is hard. Like, there are conversations that you have with Jesus and you have with God, you have with yourself every day. Because you have your vision, but a lot of people don't see your vision. And when you try to sell your dream to somebody else and they don't get it, it frustrates you. And it's hard to continue to have that vision at times. You know what I mean?
No, that's not me at all.
It's not you at all?
That is not me at all. People see my vision and they're like, We know he told us he was going to be here, and we know where he's going.
See, and I think for you it's different because you've always been in this space. You've always been in
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm saying. It's a little
It's
different.
always been that space. So like it was like you eat, sleep, drink, piss real estate. That's what you've done forever. But if we did something else, like, I don't think you wouldn't be. I know you'd be successful, but it's like, okay, but it would take a little bit for you to figure it out. But once you've got it, you got it. And I think that's the way I look at it. When I look at real estate, when I look at the businesses that I have, I look at it from a different perspective. So how do I approach this? That's why I love games. That's why I love my sports when I play ball. So I look at it as a game, right? I look at it this way. So this is how I overcome my objective. This is how I overcome certain things. So when you look at it because you're looking at it from the real estate aspect and you understand everything about it already, right? It's because you've been taught that, you've had like you said, everybody in your damn family is in real estate somehow, right?
Yeah, I'm the only one that ever became a real estate investor at this level.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just the real estate; it's the entrepreneurship. 4 Data Points Academy is not a real estate. It teaches people how to invest in
right.
real estate.
It teaches about real estate.
Street Capital is that's the real estate stuff,
right?
So there are things. First of all, I already lost everything. I've already lost everything before, and I was able to build it back up. And I've already made $1 million and lost $1 million and made $1 million and tricked $1 million and made $1 million. Like once you've been able to do it, now you know you can do it. And there are certain things about business that cover all industries, about regardless of what it is. Now, for me, it may be real estate. But there's also an educational component of what I do also that is a completely separate business. I can take this same blueprint and teach anything and use the same blueprint that I have right now. So my confidence when it comes to real estate and teaching it is through the roof. But to your point, let's say we wanted to open up skating rings, right? I've never done that before. Oh, and by the way, my first $1 million was non-real estate related. It had nothing to do with investing in real estate. It had nothing to do with teaching real estate. It was the stuff that I never did. I utilized the outsourcing business model, which was the second time in my life that I did it, right? Outsourcing, for those that don't know, is you basically market yourself as doing a thing. And when the orders come in, you just hire the people that are already doing it. And you take a little profit off the top. So I was doing that for a while, but was this the imposter syndrome one that you wanted to go back to?
This was the isolation. We were talking about isolation.
It's isolated because we understand the value of time.
That part,
yeah. If I told you if the clock was ticking on the 1st and you need to come up with $15,000 by the 30th, the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
And then guess what happens on the next 1st? The clock restarts.
Yep.
How much time outside of spending with family and sleeping, how much time are you going to spend just hanging out with your folks, with friends? I'm not. Because a lot of those habits
to do.
Well, yeah, a lot of those habits are not. They're destructive anyway.
Yeah.
Like when we going out drinking, or I'm not out here chasing chicks. I'm not out here like all of that stuff. At the end of the day, they are not going to none of that stuff is going to contribute to the person that I want to be or the financial objective that I'm trying to meet.
Absolutely.
So isolation is not loneliness because I'd rather be here.
Yeah. No, and when I said loneliness, like I said, I'm talking in reference to because I saw a meme the other day, and it's like the difference between being loneliness is a poor man's mentality. The isolation is like I'm over here figuring things out, right? And that's what it is. Like that's what the isolation is from an entrepreneur and as a business owner aspect. I'm putting myself in this position because this is where I want to be. This is what I need to do. I need to knock this shit out and be done.
You know what I tell people?
Like you said, it starts all over again.
Yeah. You know what I tell people? It's practice for when you get some real money. You know why? Because you know what happens when you get some real money? You can't be as accessible to everybody as you once were. There's certain conversations that you can't be in.
Listen,
there's certain places you can't go. There's certain things you can't do. So it is good practice.
I tell people all the time, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm talking to you, you must be pretty important because I usually don't waste my time. like legitimately. And
bro.
I don't have no time to waste. I got shit to do. So
well, it's not. It's that's a part of it, but it's also once you reach a certain station, man, just two different mentalities. And one of the biggest challenges for me was not getting in certain conversations I'm not supposed to be in, like that one I was telling you about, right? So if I'm online and posting something and I'm going through TikTok and I go to a TikTok live or something and I make a comment, there's been some times where I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't be in this conversation, but these people seem reasonable enough.
light skin power activate.
And I'll get in there and be like, oh, I'm talking to gang. Okay, that's why these people poor.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, it's the truth. And the sad part is, no one's going to tell you that. No one tells you. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna tell people because I wish somebody would have told me. And you know who always told me? The one you know who always pulled me aside to give me the game? Outside of my father, who laid the foundation for my total way of being, middle-aged white dudes.
Mm.
Older white dudes pulled me aside. One guy said, hey man, you gotta you gotta get that chip off your shoulder. This is when I was younger. So I'm in my 20s. And he took me out to lunch one day. And I was leasing apartments. This is 23 years ago, maybe 24 years ago. I was leasing apartments. He took me out to lunch. And my manager at the time was he was trying to cater to all the rich folks, right? So this guy, he was a consultant for Kaiser. His name was Charlie Sabatino. And he took me to this. He comes in.
Shout out to Charlie.
Shout out to Charlie. I don't know if he's still around, but he goes to my boss's office and says, hey, I'm gonna take Otis to lunch real quick. My boss was like, okay. So we went out. He had a bad Porsche too. We went out and we started talking. And back then I was a little militant, right? And he was like, you got to take that chip off your shoulder, man, because you are the world. You see the world through a particular set of lenses that is going to stunt your growth with respect to you becoming the man that you want to be. And I was like, I mean, I got a chip on my shoulder for a reason. He's like, yeah, we know all that. We know all that, right? The world hasn't been very, very nice. But at the end of the day, ain't nobody complaining about living next door to Jerry Rice. And then I started to understand what he was saying without saying it, right? So when I go back and try to explain some of these things in certain communities, they ain't trying to hear it or they don't believe it. And so now I'm starting to understand this last couple of years, that's why they don't come back and try to, because they don't trust, they don't trust you. Mm-hmm. So I'll create an opportunity, but they got to do some work to get through the door. It's not, there ain't no handouts, because you saw how much I was giving to people. I'm talking about strangers online that couldn't pay their rent or their mortgage. And it's all clear. It's all clear now. Right?
It's definitely that's one of the biggest things is the mindset, man. On anything that you do, it's got to be like your mindset. How much can you take, and how much are you willing to endure?
And also, man, a lot of people getting their tax returns. A lot of people getting their tax returns around this time.
Yeah.
Watch what they do with it.
What do they do with it? Right.
Yeah, watch what they do.
You have a chance to like change one. It's crazy how one tax return check could change your whole life. Change your whole life, your whole family's life. One solid tax return, I'm sure you getting 30, 10, 15, 20, 30 back.
Yeah, I get it because I've been there, right? I've been there, like, living check to check. Tax return, the biggest con in the history of cons. I'm happy that the government's giving me some money. They shouldn't have took it from me in the first place. They give me my own money back.
Well, look what I got. Look what I got.
But it was, I wasn't saving. And because I didn't have the mindset to save in that tax return, I was like, oh, this is good. I'm gonna get 2 JL Audio subwoofers in an amp and put it in my car. And so yeah, man, look, the world, the capitalism is not, this country is not set up for you to default into wealth. you default into being poor unless you change the trajectory in some way, shape, or form. And that is going to be in the form of knowledge. And
Absolutely.
the people that don't value knowledge will be working for someone who does.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But once
Do
you know,
you
you
take
know.
any courses outside of like your own right now, or is that, I know you said that you watch other people, but are you taking any additional courses?
Not in real estate. I mean,
It doesn't have to be real estate, because I mean, so I've taken things that are not associated with
yeah, no,
what I do.
definitely. I'll
But,
take
but for me, it's personal growth,
yeah.
individual stuff.
So personal development is I'm always spending money on that.
Yeah.
Always spending money on that. I never stop
Yeah.
until I become the person that I want to be. I will always continue to spend money on that.
Yeah.
There's certain aspects of real estate that I'm getting into that I'll go and take a course because I want to make sure that I'm in compliance in certain areas.
Mhm.
Like if there's a business model I want to attach to real estate investing, and then somebody has a course, $2,500 course, and the support, that's just, I value the time that I save because I can research and figure it out myself. Everything, right?
Yeah.
But the support, it saves me a lot of time. And that $2,500, I'll spend $25,000 in time trying to do what I could have done for $2,500. So I spend money. I took a real estate investing, course in, it was years ago, that just because I was heavy in real estate, but what am I missing? Right? What am I missing?
Yeah.
And then there was a tax strategy component to what they were offering also. I dropped $13,000 for that. Now, I learned a little something, right? I learned a little something. I ended up hiring the attorneys that did for another $13,000.
Networking connections, yeah.
Yeah. But it was but I wanted to make sure that there was nothing that I was missing, and how can I fast track it? And because I was well versed in real estate already, I was like, oh, I can take this all the way to the moon. One of the things was the way asset-based lending. Asset-based lending is a simple concept to understand, but the way that it's used, it just never clicked that I could pay for this real estate out of my exit strategy because I'm essentially getting financing for the future value of something.
Right.
And they'll give me the money to create that value. So even just tying that small detail together allowed me to go and make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So would I figured some of these things out already? Yeah, but
it would. I mean, it could have took you an extra month, 2 months, but why? I mean, but if you figured it out taking a course, and you wrote that off too. So
I have a guide.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of things a lot of people don't understand too. Everything that you do when you become an entrepreneur, everything that you do for education or to better yourself or anything, the development is all tax write-offs.
Yeah, but it should. But even I would, even if it wasn't.
I do it all the time anyway. Legit, I will drop money on courses just because I'm curious to hear what certain concepts are, and it's not just random stuff, but it's like I'll do my research, find out more about it. Talk to somebody, and then I'll if I feel like, okay, it's in line with what I want, okay, sure, I'll jump on.
Yeah. Well, nowadays I just know if I'm getting into a new space, because the technology that we have now, it's easy to learn stuff. That's why I tell people, look, I don't sell information because a lot of the stuff that I teach, you could Google. And I tell people that I've had people call me and want to know certain things, and they'll pay $350 for a consultation. In the beginning of the call, I'm like, you can just Google that. Like, I'm not going to charge you for it. You can just Google it. You know what I'm saying? Now, the practical application of it and me leveraging my experience is different. That's what you should pay for. But if you're just asking like, hey, what's of this and what's of that? I'm like, I got free stuff that I could just give you for that. You don't have to. So, people, and I understand you got to work with what you have, right? But I have a free guide that teaches people how to assess a deal, that teaches people how to use the 4 data points. They should be like, it should be, 1 million people should have took it already.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, it's there. And a lot of these people get them that aren't under my mentorship, they get in trouble. They're getting stuff that they can't get out of. And I'm like, oh, well, did you get the free guide? But you want to pay me $350?
It was free.
Yeah. You want to pay me $350 to tell you what you could have just got for free? Let me just give you a guide. Anyway, I'm not going to vent.
All right. So let's see here. So, creating a business that doesn't break you, right? So what are some things? So I'm gonna list the five entrepreneurial shifts for mental peace and profit.
Okay.
And this is actually pretty cool because it kind of goes back to some of the things we had been talking about. Number one is business systems,
Yes.
not just a hustle. Automate what you can.
That is the biggest.
Oh, I had to learn that the hard way, bro. I had to learn that the hard way. I had to learn it the hard way because I spent a lot of money on certain things. And like you said, I wasn't ready for it or I didn't know how to handle it when it came. It just because I just thought, okay, I'll throw more money at it and it'll fix it. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Look, bro.
Right.
That is I'm flying somebody in to just go over automations when we in Colombia. Systems and automations. I got 2 people speaking on it that day, systems and automations. And I hired one of those folks. Oh no,
Okay.
I didn't hire. I hired another company. Sorry.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. I hired another company, but this person referred me to that company, and this person does it too. But I'm using that person in a different capacity, so I couldn't.
Okay.
But just the learning curve, like my dad will call me and be like, "How do I get this thing on my computer?" Right? Because I'm tech savvy. I am so far from being able to just go in and set up all these automations. Like, okay, MailChimp talks to Go High Level, talks to Thrive.
ManyChat does this.
Yeah, all of dude, I'm telling you, like
I hired somebody for that, man. I had to hire somebody for that.
But you got to know that it can be done. A lot of people don't even know that this stuff can be done. You mean I don't have to respond to emails directly? I could just train AI and they can go back and how much time that saves me?
Bro, it's ridiculous. Like I said, I'm on a pace to like really have my best year because of like I've automated my systems. Right. Everything is being that way. Like I'm allowing people and systems to do their job. I'm getting out of the way. I just do what I do. I get in front of you. We have conversations. We talk about and that's it. Right. And that's it for me. Right. But I allow the system and the people to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
Number 2 is, and I kind of went back to this, is like know your why. Passion fades without purpose. Right. And I think I know your purpose and your reason is for doing what you do. It's very similar to mine because I think that there are people who deserve to be able to have the things that they should. One of them is knowledge, but I know that you and I have had this conversation before. We can't be preaching to people who don't want to hear it.
Look, man, there's always one person that shows up just in time, right before I say, you know what, these folks want to be poor, let them be poor. I ain't messing with these folks.
I'm done. I'm not in the business to convince you to do anything.
Right.
I'm here to offer what I have. I tell you what I do. Offer what it is, and then you are more than welcome to participate or
But I'm not even selling them anything. I'm only talking about the stuff I'm doing for free.
Mm-hmm.
For free, like add it. What's 0 plus 0 times 0?
0.
Yeah, that's what. So for me to have these certain interactions I'm just doing it for when they have nothing to do but gain. I have nothing to do but lose in that short-term scenario.
Right. You lost money by just having a conversation with them, by the way.
Yeah, but there's always one person that redeems everybody. Somebody that recognizes the value of it, and they're like, I'm actually going to do it. I'll engage with those people a lot more because I know that that's a rare thing to find nowadays. Then I'll give them, I'll put them in a place so they can win. And 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be able to do nothing for me in return.
Yeah.
So you got to be passionate about what it is you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is what you kind of touched on this earlier. Say no to burnout opportunities. Just because it pays doesn't mean it fits.
Oh yeah, man. All money ain't good money.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah. All money ain't good money. There's some people right now, I don't care how much money they pay me, I would not let them in my program. Like, I am not dealing with that attitude in perpetuity. No. Because if once I understand your frame of mind, how it's not conducive to your prosperity, I'm not bringing that in over here.
Right.
It doesn't happen very often, but there are some people that I'll refer to somebody else. Or I'll start with the price. I'll start with price.
Number 4, find a mentor or tribe. Entrepreneurship doesn't mean isolation. So this is what I was talking about, that isolation aspect, right? Doesn't mean you're doing it by yourself. Number 5 is prioritize health and rest. Your body is your business.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a big one. I think that's a lot of us that we do. I have seen a lot of people who literally eat, sleep, and don't even sleep, I should say, and they really are focused on their business so much that it's like it literally hurts you. You got to be able to find that balance. Rest when you can, and work when you have to.
I can see why that's hard, because it's hard for me. If my financials aren't where they need to be, it's hard for me to sleep.
I can't sleep. It's hard for me to sleep.
Yeah. So I'll get up and I'll be in my office at 2 and 3 in the morning, just doing stuff, because I can always be doing more. But it's the physical toll is far less than the emotional toll entrepreneurship has. You have to know how to be able to dig deep. 2 things. One, you got to know how to be able to dig deep and tell yourself that, oh, I'm built for this. That's it. And you got to be able to move forward, not because of how you feel. If you only move forward because you feel like it, you're not going to make it. Sometimes you got to move forward despite how you feel. The other thing is, what is it? Oh, shoot, I just lost my train of thought. There were 2 things. See, now I got the memory of an Alzheimer's patient because I'd be stressed out. But it has to do with tenacity, man. It has to do with tenacity. And if you're just, and some people ain't built for this, bro. To be honest, if you're the type of person that can't keep your composure, you're not built for this. If you're the type of person that doesn't know how to be the bigger person, especially in a public platform, you're not built for this.
Yeah.
You got to know how to, you got to be able to believe in something bigger than yourself. And if you can't manage your emotions, right? If you can't regulate your emotions, especially in your marketing and all these other things, I could tell when people are at their last dollar because they start posting stuff, negative stuff. Like, that's why I mental broke people. I'll see the shift in the marketing and be like, the tax bill just hit, right?
Oh man, hey man, what happened to your page? I had to shut it down, man.
It's just all bumper sticker negativity. That's what,
right.
Then they start shifting over, and well, you can't teach a wealth mindset to somebody that don't want to listen.
See, this is why you can't do nothing for these people.
I was like, oh, they having a tough time.
They must have lost out on a deal or something. I hear you. I feel you.
I can see it. I've been there. I've been wanting to fight people before. I had a bad day. This was like a few years ago. I was having a tough time, and I had lost like that month. It was like $100,000 that was supposed to come in that didn't. Where I was so mad. I made a post I commented on somebody's post. That was just a regular post, and then some smart ass from Southern California said something disrespectful under my post. So I hit him back. I was like, I'll drive down there right now and I'll punch you in your stomach. But I guess TikTok or whatever it was, they put the banner up that's like, hey, this is not an appropriate comment. Like, ooh, I'm glad that didn't go out because that was a moment of weakness. That's the biggest part of being, getting to a certain level, man. Like, you can't be doing that stuff. It costs too much. But I was like, I'll punch you in your stomach. It was stupid, man. I'm glad it didn't go out. But it made me look at myself like, you're better than that, bro. You know you can't be doing that stuff. So that was a good learning lesson. I'll punch you in your stomach. You got your job ID on in your picture and everything. Anyway, what's the next one?
All right, we're at the dessert, man. Redefining success on your own terms.
Yeah.
Right. You are not your revenue. You are not your following. You are not the grind. Your grind. It says the top 5 definitions of success for entrepreneurs. Number 1, time freedom over full schedules. Right. Peace of mind over public praise, fulfillment over financial flexing, scalable systems over sleepless nights, legacy through service, not just income.
Absolutely. What was one again?
What's that?
What was number 1?
Time freedom over full schedules.
Yeah, that takes money. Period. So money is going to be in all of those, right? But I think when you get stuck to where you're chasing it just for the sake of chasing it, that's when you get into trouble, right? Because you got to work hard to get free time. Now, those are the valuable things, but it's not like people. It's not like people think. It's not like people think. I think harmony, right? Being able to balance the work and the freedom and all that. There's got to be
Mhm.
harmony there because the people that you are. What's up, Misha? The people. Hey, what's up, Alicia? The people that you are in charge of with respect to not in charge of as a leadership position. I'm talking about in your household. They've got to understand that when you stop doing what you're doing in the beginning, the first few years when you're building it up, everything stops. Right.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
why automations and all that and systems is on the list because you ultimately, this is how you know when your business is doing what it's supposed to be. When you can calculate the output based on the input,
Mm.
meaning my system is so dialed in, I know if I contribute X amount of dollars, that it'll generate Y amount of dollars. Right. And that seems simple, but that is a hard, that's usually, you got to really work to get to that point. It involves all of these different systems and we say systems. A lot of people don't even know which systems we're talking about.
Yeah. Like, what is that? I don't know what that is. Yeah.
We'll get into that. What's the second one? Don't remind me. We'll get into the system.
Let's see. The second one was peace of mind over public praise.
I just say peace of mind, period.
Yeah. I don't
Public
need.
praise is the public is so whack now. It's like,
Yeah. So fake.
it's like when the fat girl at school called you handsome. It's like,
Look at you.
oh, you
All
handsome.
handsome and stuff.
Or when your mom calls you handsome, it's like, nah, thanks, but you're supposed to say that.
Right.
So I think peace of mind, man. As an entrepreneur, that is one of the first things you're going to give up is peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're talking about success. We all have different definitions of success. I feel like I am so unsuccessful relative to where I need to be. But there's a lot of people that think once you make $1 million, you're successful. That is not successful. Maybe the context in which you make $1 million, there could be some success in there, but not with me. That's the entry point. That's once you make $1 million, now you see where you're weak, and you see all of those that are preventing you from scaling. And just because you make $1 million, don't mean you get to keep $1 million, folks. So when you hear these $1 million conversations, I got months where I made almost 300,000. I only got to keep 12. So who's more successful? The person that made 13,000 or the person that made almost 300,000 in that case? 13,000. So, yeah. What's the next one?
Let's see. Next one was fulfillment over financial flexing. We said that one right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, flexing is the real flex is not flexing at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The richest people I've ever met. Now, listen, I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm gonna tell you a story about one guy. He looked like he had no money. I thought he was a bum.
Why?
I almost treated him that way.
Oh, you're a bad person.
No, but I wasn't like, not in a bad way. I was going to give him money and like everything, but it was like, man, when I sat down with him, with my broker at the time, and turned out this dude owned half of the county.
Yeah.
He owned like multiple hotels, and things like that. I'm like, oh, he got big money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You would not even know it. Most of the richest people, most of the wealthiest people in the world, you would not even know that they actually were that wealthy.
You know why that is, right?
Huh?
You know why that is, right? I thought it was just because they were modest.
What is it?
When you get into an environment and you've got your person of means,
mm-hmm.
and you've seen the world for what it really is, people will try to get it from you.
Oh, absolutely.
So they be hiding.
I'm dressing down. I'm not sure.
Look, I've had some. I have some pretty wealthy friends. I got one dude, that dude Justin. You heard me tell the story about that. I thought I was flexing on back in the day, and then he invited me to his house, and he was worth $600 million. And I thought I was flexing in like a $40,000 Jaguar, and he humbled me significantly. But that the environment that he was in the Bay Area, but Silicon Valley, right? there's a lot of people that with a lot of money, and it's almost, it shows a lack of class when you try to. They got planes, they got airplanes.
Right. Yeah, anybody got a jet,
Yeah,
bro.
you just feel you here. You just feel stupid flexing, so you're almost embarrassed to, you know.
Look, you start like, man, you like my Cartier watch? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, they'll be
start.
like, yeah, I own Cartier.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Oh,
your patronage.
that's cute. That's cute. Yeah, they send me a dividend check every week.
Yeah, it's just you get, and it shows a lack of class, right? Like
Yeah.
there's something called you can be subtle with it, right? You can be
Yeah.
subtle. Like there's a way to present yourself. Like I don't wear jewelry, I never have.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah,
Same
and the
way.
reason is because there's always people with more expensive jewelry.
Right.
So why even get in that game? Now the jewelry that I wear now, it's just metal. It's not,
Yeah.
that I wear a cross, or it's just metal. It's not, no diamonds, no anything that I have where you see diamond. I do got some watches with some diamonds in it, but that's just so I can be around poor people. When I go to Atlanta, or you know,
Let me go wear my rich post
yeah,
stuff.
I don't wear that stuff around people with money. Like look at like Ant. And like my most expensive watch is like, it's less than $10,000. I'll say that. So if Ant goes, for y'all, I'm talking. I don't want to put his business out there, so I'm not gonna say where he's from. But so Ant, we went to go. We went. I had to go get some shoes, so we went to the mall, and he knows a guy that owns a watch store at the mall. So we go in there, and I'm like, maybe I'll get a watch too, since we out here buying watches. And what he called a non-expensive watch is what I called an expensive watch. Like the watches he was looking at was starting at $30,000-$40,000. My limit is $10,000.
Right.
I'm just not into watches like that. So I'm not, right. And I'm not into enough conversation. I'm not in enough conversations with people who are into watches where I would need to do that. Right. Not need to do it, but that it would benefit me to do that. So with the flexing and all that stuff, man, it's just it shows people how you view yourself. And if your self-portrait is damaged and you feel the need to show the world that you are good enough because something in you doesn't believe you are, it's going to come out in how you spin and present yourself. So what do you see me wearing most of the time when we do these?
Just regular shit, bro. You don't wear
a black t-shirt.
black t-shirt, right? Pretty much, yeah.
Look, if you look at all my posts, I'm either in a black t-shirt, a brown t-shirt, or a gray t-shirt. That's it. And they all come from the same company in the same pack.
3 in a pack, dog.
Yeah.
3 in a pack.
I've got probably 60 of the same t-shirt, right? Yeah, we just, our mind is somewhere else, man. It's not, that stuff ain't important. And plus, I'm established. Enough people know who I am where I don't have to try to make them believe.
Yeah, you ain't got to flex, man. That's the way I look at it. There's no need to flex, man. That's the way I look at it.
I still enjoy going to a Cheesecake Factory. That's still one of my favorite. Louisiana chicken pasta is one of my favorite dishes. I could put a Sizzler steak in front of people that be fronting and they wouldn't know the difference. Where you want to go? Ruth Chris?
We go Sizzler.
You better Ruth Chris's Applebee's.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next one?
All right, man. Well, that's pretty much it, bro. Oh, I'm sorry. We did scalable systems over sleepless nights, right? And we talked about that pretty much. What are scalable systems? What are systems?
You got friends that are okay being broke?
I have some people I know some people who are okay being broke.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with being broke. I've been broke many times. Every entrepreneur has. 99.9% of them.
Yep.
And, there's value in being broke, right? That's the seasoning process, and you got to be able to. Sometimes you got to figure it out, and you still got to be able to rise up out of it and make something happen. So there's value in being broke. People that are okay with being broke, I'm not friends with them. That's a valuable lesson that I had to learn.
Absolutely.
We ain't friends. I don't. There's nothing. You sound like you're mean when you say that. I'm gonna tell the world what somebody told me once. I like how you think. Get some money and see if you still think that way. I was hardcore liberal, Democrat. Hardcore Democrat. Well, I was about to march for these fools. I was like, yeah, get some money. See if you're still a Democrat.
Right. Yeah. I listen, bro. I'm waiting for them to send me my request to renew my.
Yeah. No. Hey, shout out to Democrat. I know Democrats and Republicans that are really close to me. I'm not 100% either one, but
Yeah, I'm more libertarian. I'm right down the middle. I believe in small government, but I tell you what, I don't like all these damn taxes they putting on.
Oh yeah, don't get me started on that. But luckily, there's always a break in the tax code.
Yep, you can always find one. All you got to do is have you a real good friend who's a CPA. Find some codes. Right. It's not my job. It's not your job.
That's expensive too, though. That's expensive too.
Yeah, everything. Listen, hey, man, as I tell people all the time, pick your hard. You can be. It's hard being broke.
Yeah,
it's hard being rich.
People aren't ready to be. People
pick
think
your hard.
People want to be rich. They're not ready to be rich.
No.
If you don't like, if you're starting your business and you don't want to put money into like consultations with an attorney to get your contracts where they need to be, if you don't want to do some tax planning with the CPA, if you don't want to make sure that you're using the proper entity and getting structured proper, if you don't want to spend money on that stuff, you're not going to be rich. If you get rich, you ain't going to be rich for long. It costs, you do all these entities. How much you think?
What do they say? It costs to be the boss.
It costs to do your taxes. Ain't no more H&R Block and all that stuff when you get to and people just people just can't make that shift, man.
Yeah.
I know some good people with a lot of potential that they just too oh man, I want to see them do well, and I try to give them the game, but I got to do it from a distance because you can't get too close to folks that are in that space. But anyway, it's all good though.
Yeah, man. Legacy through service, not just income. That's pretty much it on that one.
Yeah, I'll do that last.
Yeah, that is.
I'll worry about legacy through service. Yeah. I'm doing that while. That's why I'm not as rich as I'm supposed to be.
I gotta live first. I got to live. I want to get all the things that I want done. But it's like I've been looking at other podcast stuff. I've been looking at all kind of stuff. So I'm like, legacy. I'll put some. I got something towards that. Let's drop a little bit. I'm not going crazy though. I'm not putting it all in there. I got to live. I got to have fun. Enjoy myself. Indulge.
I got to make sure that the James family name lives for a long time. Are you a grandpa yet?
Nigga, no.
I'm like, I got two sons, and I'm like, they need to have shit like now that I'm getting a little older, like the James family name.
You're not that old. Just calm down.
Older than I was when I was young.
Yeah. Older than was yesterday.
Bro, we probably got maybe 35 summers.
What did you say? We got 23 summers left? You told
me? We ain't look. There's more days behind us than ahead of us. I know that.
28 summers left, y'all. At least about I got maybe 20, 28.
Statistically, my dad is.
I plan on living longer than that. I'm working on that right now. That's what I'm investing in right now is the serum, some sort of serum. No, that's it.
You putting all your eggs in that basket?
Yeah, man. I'm invested. I'm about the cryogenics, man. Cryogenics. No, that's pretty much it, bro. This is it. The closing thoughts. I mean, biggest thing for me is that it's a balance of choosing your peace and I my peace is nice, but my peace is when all my bills are paid and I ain't got to worry about shit. Ain't nobody knocking on my door, calling me, or asking me for shit. So that's my peace. So I'm gonna always work, and I actually enjoy what I do. I enjoy the impact that I have, right? So I don't think I will. I think I am at peace. I'm truly at peace when I work. I don't mind it. I love it. And that's the reason why I continue to do it. That's the reason I continue to try to be, that's the reason why I'm successful. That's the reason why I want to improve and I want to get better and I want to do more and do other things that kind of are tied to it because I see there's so many opportunities and I enjoy it, man. I love it. I love it.
I'm not at peace.
You're not at peace?
Hell no.
Like, nigga, you never happy, man. You just an angry light-skinned dude, man. Always.
Look.
You always got the fist. You always got it's the fist, dog. It's the
no, man. It's just once you know. I know how much we're being taxed. I know how we're being this. I know how bad I'm being treated here in this country,
Oh,
and
100%.
I understand the
Well,
rules, and I'm playing the game to where the rules work out in my favor. But I need to have a house in Medellin, Ghana, business in Dubai. That's the goal, and
yeah,
just make money here. That's all. That's all I want to do. And until I get to that point, there's a sense of urgency. For me, there's a sense of
yeah,
urgency, man. You know, I got
yeah.
five
I'm there
kids.
with you. And when I say I'm at peace, I say I'm at peace because I love what I do, and that to me is the peace part. I'm not done by any means. I'm not on cruise control or no, by no means. I'm definitely
I'm only
rampant.
at peace when my girl comes home. My girl gets home, I'll be at peace.
Okay.
We cuddle. I'm the little spoon.
Oh,
I'm the little spoon.
nice.
Are you ever the little? You two? How tall are you?
6'4".
You're the big spoon all the time, but I bet you'd enjoy being the little spoon once or twice.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know how that works out.
You
I
gotta
mean,
try it.
yeah, that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have went into that.
Yeah, it hurts my feelings. Yeah, dude, that's it, man. Like, I guess what else you got? What do you got closing thoughts for to give people on entrepreneurship and etc.
I don't know, man. I've been having this conversation for so long and so many people. It's like, look, the ones that want to do it will do it. And the ones that procrastinate, they're never going to do it. And there's a good side to the way things are. There's a bad side to the way things are. The good side to the way things are is we get to choose what path we want to take. We get to choose what decisions that we want to make. The bad side is if you don't choose, this world will choose for you.
Absolutely.
And you can't be mad when the world chooses for you, right? You can't be taking a job for $15 an hour and then 2 years later complain that you don't make a livable wage.
Yeah.
You didn't make a livable wage when you was trying to get the job, but your choices led you up to that point.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that does give me peace of mind is I'm 100% responsible for everything that's happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm it is all 100% my fault. If you can't say that, oh, good luck. You ain't never gonna be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
ain't gonna be a good one. Right?
Not for long.
Was that?
Not for long. Like I
Oh,
say, you can make some money. Don't get me wrong. You can close a couple of deals. You can make some money. But how at what point will it plateau because you can't see past your own face, right? Like legitimately, like you can't see where you're messing up at or where you messed up at.
Look, you could. I'm telling people, look, just watch and see all these social media folks that you see. Even me, like you can just pay attention. Pay attention when the market shifts. Look, social media was looking one way in 2021 and looking a different way in 2023.
Yeah.
The amount of gurus shrank significantly to maybe 4 or 5. And
Yep.
then it shrank even more because a couple got indicted. It's always the same thing, man. It's always the same thing. That's why I always joke around. Like, look, I'd rather just I like optics. I said optics. Look, so but I've had people. So I put groups together for people in our mentorship group. But there's sometimes people that are outside the group that want to give me money to put a group together to invest, and I'm always like, no, sir.
No, sir.
I've had people wire me money that I wired straight back. I was like, don't do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You ain't gonna have me up here anyway.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, my last thing advice is just like be okay with building it the right way and building it slow. We're not saying that you can't be a sensation overnight and things like that, but like Otis said, and I said the same thing because it happened to me, where you made money really quickly and you end up spending that money really quickly or losing that money really quickly. So it really
didn't. The Dominican Republic tricking,
huh?
So going to the Dominican Republic tricking that y'all better stay out of it. I thought I was on mute. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so like that's this thing is like build it slow, build it steady, and being okay with just if you make anything you make is a whenever you make a profit, that is a celebration, and be okay with that. But continue to push yourself to get more and to measure it and measure yourself at all costs. Just so, like, Otis said, when you know you're at a good business, when you are able to understand what you put in and how much you're going to get back out from it, right? When you can put inputs in and project what your outputs are going to be, that's when you're in a good space.
Be coachable. A lot of people out there, if you express the right attitude, there's a lot of people that are successful that will pour into you. I know I'm one of them. I will pour into some people that show the right attitude, but don't come asking me for nothing though.
Hey man,
we don't do
it. Can I borrow like 300?
I will freeze the Zoom call. I'll freeze the FaceTime call in a minute.
Oh man, listen, this is our show. We are the Full Menu Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Listen, you can find us on IG, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Let's see, Spotify, Apple, literally pretty much any and everywhere that you get your podcast. But we are the Full Menu Podcast. Otis, thank you for the night, man. It's been good. I'll holler at you soon, man.
Peace out.
Yes, sir.